A key motivation for me in establishing this channel and uploading these various videos regarding Buddhism is to share Buddhism with people who may not have had as much exposure to it in their particular culture. As we know, the history of Buddhism goes way back, 2,500 years ago with Sakyamuni Buddha. And the history of Buddhist art, which I love, also goes way back in history. And there have been just some amazing creations over the course of time. And while I love to savor in museums and elsewhere various kinds of Buddhist art and Buddhist creativity, it gives me special gratification to be able to view creations that have been done on a contemporary basis in our particular era. And in this video, I want to expose you to 3 such creations that have come into my life sphere and that have had meaning for me in the context of particularly the relationships that I've had with the creators. The first is a drawing or a painting of Amida Buddha coming up over the mountains. And I'll be doing another video regarding the Rego genre of paintings and drawings, where Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, is coming with an entourage to meet the dying person, and through Kuan Yin, handing them a lotus throne on which they can be born and transported to the Pure Land. But in any case, this friend of mine, Lucille, who I met very early on, back in the late 70s when I first got turned on to Buddhism, she helped me appreciate the Pure Land path, and she did paintings of Amida Buddha. And here I want to show you one of her creations, and hope that it has some sort of resonance with you as you think about and reflect upon Amitabha Buddha, the Buddha of infinite light, the Buddha of infinite life, who again serves as a source of comfort, a source of compassion, a source of assurance for us, to the effect that we will be born in his Pure Land when we die. Further on in my time as a Buddhist, I came upon a fellow who became part of our so-called wider Shin Buddhist fellowship that I'll do some more content from in other videos. But the point being, he lived up north. He lived in Wisconsin, and we had an active written correspondence, and he actually came down south one time to the area where I live, and we were able to have lunch together in Boone, North Carolina. But in any case, he was a Pure Land Buddhist, and he had reverence for the founder of Shin Buddhism, who was, of course, Shinran Shonin. And he gave me this drawing that he made of Shinran, and I want to share that with you now. Shinran, of course, made an interpretation of the doctrine that evolved it into a system of pure grace. He said that all we have to do is say Namo Mita Butsu one time, and we are immediately assured that we will be reborn in the Pure Land, and that when we're reborn there, we will immediately become a Buddha. So he really streamlined the interpretation, and again, created a system that rejected any self-power oriented practices as having efficaciousness in getting us to that goal. I also want to share with you something that was done pretty recently by a friend of mine called Revanth. And some of you will recognize the name because he is the person who has done a fantastic bit of work for me in editing the audio of my recitations. I have to acknowledge that, I make a lot of mistakes when I'm reciting. So if I make a mistake and I want to go back, I say 3, 2, 1, and then I correct myself. And so to sort of eliminate those mistakes, if you will, and to patch together from the previous good section to the subsequent good section, it's a lot of work. And Revanth has really devoted himself to helping me in that regard. And he recently came up with something that was quite interesting, and I'll flash it here on the screen, where, we know that metta is one of the key characteristics of the Buddha and of bodhisattvas. And there are metta suttas, or sort of compassion kinds of mantras that involve saying, I wish happiness for people that I love. I wish happiness for people that I don't necessarily have positive feelings for. I wish happiness for everybody in the universe. It's a very elaborated metta scripture, and I encourage you to look it up. But the point is, in his drawing, he ties that in with a very modern concept, which is that of physics, and says metaphysics. He defines metaphysics as the change in a subject/object on prolonged exposure to love/loving kindness. So I'll put a link below regarding the recitation of loving kindness in a classic Buddhist sense. And I commend Revanth for coming up with this sort of modern expression of how we can articulate the sentiment that lies behind our feelings of loving kindness toward other sentient beings. I'll finish with a little thing that I did myself and got framed, where, as you know, within Shin Buddhism, the key mantra or practice, if you will, which is really a non-practice, is to say the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So I did a pretty crude job of trying to write the 6 characters in Chinese, and then indicated that this is the name, Namo Amida Butsu. So here is that little thing that I put together and that I enjoy looking at hanging on the wall. So anyway, I commend any of you out there who are sort of getting your creative sort of impulses activated and trying to connect your Buddhist devotional feelings and your appreciation for the Dharma into some kind of concrete artistic form. And these, I would proffer, will be ways that you, each of you, can help roll the great Dharma wheel and share the depth of feeling that we have for this wonderful, wonderful tradition. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.